We are talking baseball. NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things baseball across North Jersey. This is Season 6, Episode 7, the Bergen County Tournament in full swing in high gear. And we are all over it. We are sponsored by the Complete Performance Baseball Academy. Check them out and their brand new website online at CompletePerformanceBaseball.com. Hit them on the Twitter at CPB Academy. I am Corey Doviak, being joined by my illustrious co-host, a man of many talents, a man who carries a glove out to umpire the base paths in high school varsity baseball games, a man who administrates a Group 1 high school to tremendous effect and elevating its academic rigor and all things. And this week, he's a member, a soon-to-be member, full-fledged member of the Bergen County Baseball Tournament's Executive Committee, making decisions. I mean, he's doing his apprenticeship now. Next year, he'll be the guy at the table. He can do it all. But this week, when I said, hey, who would you like to have as a guest? He said nobody. So this week, it is my pleasure to introduce Joey, broadcaster, Sutera. What's going on, Joe?
You're so unfair with that stuff. And you text me again, misleading our leaders, our listeners. Sorry, misleading our listeners. And you say I come up with this idea. You forget or you neglect to say what you say to me in the text before.
No,
you sent some people's names over for consideration.
Correct.
And in my ongoing effort to try to keep the show fresh so it doesn't get stale, I said, you know what, buddy? Let's just do me and you. We'll talk about the tournament. No guest to change it up.
That's what I said.
It's not what you said. You said I came up with the idea. No, you said you asked me, and I said no guest as if, we don't want to do it. We talked about it. It wasn't just a decision that I made to not have people on the show. So,
but,
you got to kind of, you know what you are? You're like, how Trump always says the media just paints it the way they want it? That's what you're doing. That's what Donald Trump would have a field day with you because you do it week in and week out on the air. You make me look foolish. You make it seem like these are all my ideas, and we don't collaborate on them. We collaborate, Corey. We're a team. We're a team.
Would I make you look foolish? Like when you say, "Can you hold on a minute?"
Yeah. or well, I guess we're gonna have an opportunity. There were a lot of great games in the first preliminary round of the tournament, and we're gonna have a lot of opportunity to thank the committee once again this week on the show.
Yeah, well, I would like to thank the committee because I saw a great first round game on Wednesday, and I'm going to talk about it.
What game did you see? What game did you see, Corey?
I saw number 17 Kreskill on the road at number 16 Ramsey in one of those intriguing NJIC Big North Conference, inter-conference rivalry games here, and well, we're going to talk about it. I want to get it into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But
there's a couple other things I want to say because there was some people questioning certain teams getting in that pushed some teams that are now in the round of 8 to the brink in that preliminary round. So we will talk about it. I'm looking forward to it.
And we have listen, since you shot down my idea of having any guests on this show, we have plenty of time to get into this stuff deeper. I mean, I'm not even going to mention the people that I sent over to you for consideration. Richie Ballgame Barton out. We'll just mention him. He's the only guy. But okay, so I do want to thank the committee for my Wednesday afternoon, which, despite the fact that it was about 52 degrees and biting cold, not the committee's fault. I want to thank the committee for that game because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we're going to get into it deeper. But here's what I don't want to thank the committee for, Joe. And now, It's gonna sound disingenuous coming from me because I was not at a round of 16 game on Saturday. My daughter, who the 2017 Old Tappan, Northern Valley Regional Old Tappan High School, the former bowling captain over there at Northern Valley Regional Old Tappan High School, had an internship event in Portland, Maine on Saturday. So we left 6 p.m. Friday, drove 5 hours to Portland, Maine in the rain, stayed, woke up, went and watched her present her sustainability capstone project at the University of Southern Maine, and then got back in the car, stopped in Providence on the way home, watched the Kentucky Derby in a sports bar, and then got home. As we taped this on Sunday, I got home about 14 hours ago, and I'm ready to go. So I missed Saturday. But here's the thing. It made it easier to miss Saturday because what was the idea? I didn't even realize this when the seeds were announced and I saw the bracket for the first time. Why weren't games played on neutral sites? Why home fields? This way, the Bergen County softball tournament starts the same day. Bergen County baseball tournament, round of 16. Listen, 16, that's 16 games in 16 different places. I would have only been able to cover one game anyway, where in years past, I used to love it. I'd go to Demarest for the first game, over to Emerson, back to Demarest, over to Emerson. I could get interviews, I could get pictures. I could do a great job covering the Bergen County tournament. Yesterday, I just went to New England, Joe.
Well, I don't know. I'll talk to the committee about next time maybe scheduling our tournament around you and making sure that games, a lot of games are played at one site.
Thank you.
But that's you know what? That's what we decided. That's what was decided to do. There was no negative feedback from it at all. And we're going to play the next 2 weekends, the round of 8, and then the semis and the finals at Demarest and Emerson.
It doesn't feel like the Bergen County tournament when the round of 16 is being played on 8 different fields.
You know what, Cor? I think we've spoken about
Don't
this.
get angry. Don't get angry. Just.
No, I'm not. I'm not angry at all.
Okay.
You and I have spoken about this, and yes, as from that, and it actually offered a unique perspective to it because you know what? It would be great if you could play even those preliminary games. You know, maybe that's an idea. All preliminary games at one site or 2 sites, and just have it like a complete Bergen County baseball tournament festival on that day. You know what I mean? And then go the next day and play. But I mean, I don't know. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I mean, I understand the media coverage, your coverage from it, that standpoint, but I don't know. I like you're a higher seed, you get a home game, play a county home game, and then if you advance, you get to the neutral sites in Emerson and Demarest.
Okay, I vote against, but I just, and you know what? Because there's less media nowadays, because there's nobody out really covering games besides NorthJerseySports.com,
right?
You might want to tailor it a little bit to get some coverage from NorthJerseySports.com because next year my daughter's. What time were those games? Why can't you go to a game at 11 and then go to an afternoon game? That's 2 games. Why do you have to have why do you have to be able to cover 8 games? You know you're not going to do that anyway. No, that's true. That's absolutely true. But with the staggered starts at the alternate sites, like Richie, well, sometimes we weren't able to get down to Lyndhurst, depending on what the softball tournament did. But at least when it was at Demarest and Emerson at staggered start time, say 11, and then so I could cover the first game at Emerson, and then it's not a long ride to Demarest. I'm not killing time in a car, You get over to Demarest, and I could get interviews and pictures, stay for the next game, and then get back to Emerson. So I could really, and I'm all kidding aside here. I'm just saying, I could do a relatively decent job of getting some type of coverage of the 4 different games this year. If it's 4:00 at Don Bosco Prep and 2:00 at St. Mary, I ain't making it. Just with Route 17 in the middle on a Saturday.
All right, you're being a baby now, and we're done with this conversation. You're being an absolute baby. You can't listen to me. Even
you can. We have in years past. We have.
You listen. You are totally being selfish and egocentric right now, and it's all about Corey Doviak covering games, and we need to manipulate the schedule. And we'll also, actually, what we'll do is make sure that geographically there's no, traffic areas or anything else. Are you kidding me with that?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Oh, I accept. I accept your offer. Thank you. Yes.
That's absurd.
It's honestly, not absurd. It's the way the tournament has operated for the 20 years that I've been covering it, and then you drop the bomb on me this week and say, hey, go cover Cresskill Don Bosco Prep at Don Bosco Prep at 4 o'clock. All right. You're right. You're right. Listen, I understand how hard it is, and I am the last one to criticize committees and everybody else. Umpires, committees, whatever.
Right.
I agree with you. Let's just, whatever your game is supposed to be played, show up there and do your best. I agree 100%. So
what about a higher seed? For example, the preliminary round, the higher seed got the home game, as is customary.
Well, they already have an advantage. They're the better team.
What's that?
They said they already have an advantage. They're the better team.
Well, in some cases, the higher seeds lost on their home field. So,
I agree. The first round, I'm all for it. I love it. You pick a couple and you go cover it.
Right.
In fact, the two that we covered in the opening round, Richie B saw Demarest, the number 20 seed, go on the road and beat Midland Park in a great game, and I was at Cresskill Ramsey, 17 versus 16. Not a big upset as far as seeds go, but let's be honest, Cresskill over Ramsey on the road, big upset.
It was a big upset. It was, a very good win for Donnie Merritt's and the Cougars. And you touched on it too with Demarest. They went on the road twice. They went on the road to Midland Park and they went on the road to Mawa.
Right.
So it offers. I think I kind of like it. I kind of like the seeds, the second round games being played, or the round of 16 games being played at the higher seed, and then the quarters, the semis, and finals being at the neutral sites. But I think we've kicked this horse and it's been dead a long time. So let's move on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And all right, so now let's get into some games here, and let's go back to the first round games and the one I was at. I got to start there because I am a huge. It sounds funny to say I'm a huge fan of a kid whose name I can't pronounce or not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but Ojiro Ohjiro Motoki, the senior right-hander from Cresskill. Interesting story with this kid too. I remember him as a freshman. He burst onto the varsity scene. I remember talking to Donnie Merritt, hey, we got a freshman, this kid, blah, blah, blah. Saw him pitch in the regular season. I don't remember who against. And then, they lost that year, first round of the county tournament to Riverdale. And the kid thinks, hey, I'll be back. I'm just a freshman.
Right.
2 years worth of injuries, Joe.
Yeah.
Cresskill doesn't get a sniff of the county tournament in the last 2 years. Now, all of a sudden, he shows up on Wednesday at Ramsey on the road, his last shot to make an impression in the Bergen County tournament, and boy, did he ever.
Yeah, that was, again, we saw him at Woodridge, and I believe it was in a scrimmage, and then I remember seeing Donnie later on during the year, and Mike had told me they had to shut him down. I don't know too much about the injury or what was wrong, but I know it was 2 consecutive years, sophomore and junior year, that they kind of had to shut him down, and he was unavailable to him. But he put him on his back and went on the road and got a good win against Ramsey.
Yeah, and one of the years it was a wrist. I mean, it was never like major arm trouble. It was just injuries, things,
nagging type stuff.
Yeah, and and then the kid comes back, and I am looking it up. He went the distance against. We got to break this game down a little bit further because I was constrained a little bit in the story that I wrote because I wanted to try to get everything in, but you can't always do that, with time constraints, and who's going to read a 48,000 word, synopsis of a thing? So,
not me.
Right. I try to keep those things in mind, but in the game, he against Ramsey, he goes into the 6th inning, play at the plate. First of all, he pitches great, and with runners on the corners and 1 out, obviously Ramsey's going to bunt. They get the bunt down. Motoki fields the bunt, moving forward toward the third base line, flips with his glove to Matt Nacarella, the catcher, who makes the tag to preserve the lead, to keep the game at 3-2. Obviously important. That was in the 6th inning. That could have tied the game, changed momentum, all those other things. But what it really did, and this was something that was lost that I didn't even mention in the story, he could have been out of the game because he was running up against the pitch limit. So if he has to face an extra batter in that inning, he might not be around for the last hitter of the game, who he struck out with a runner on second base on his 111th pitch of the day. That was his last hitter, regardless. So if he walks that kid or gives up a hit or whatever, it's a whole different thing. But making that play in the 6th inning, in addition to throwing a complete game, 2 runs, 2 earned, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, he makes the defensive play of the game. And Kreskill, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of Donnie Merritt's knowledge, who, interestingly enough, this morning at ShopRite, I saw him in the vegetable aisle, and he reiterated that he thinks that might be Kreskill's first ever Bergen County baseball tournament win. They've been in it, but he does not think that Kreskill had ever won a game before, and certainly not in the 20 years that I've been covering it, though I ever remember it happening.
I don't know. You and I had talked about it. I wasn't sure if when the last time they had won a game was. I thought maybe back in the years when they had the Hendersons. Right. I think there was like 23 Hendersons that went to Kreskill.
There's still a Henderson. Kyle Henderson plays shortstop.
There's still one there.
Yes.
But there was two things. Why? You said that obviously Ramsey was going to bunt on 1st and 3rd. Why are you saying that? Why did you say that?
Because I've watched a lot of high school baseball. It's bottom of the 6th inning, 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and it's a situation tailor-made for a we do still play small ball in high school baseball, and you got to stay away from the double play, Joe. 1st and 3rd, 1 out. You get the bunt down, get the game tied. You're the home team, and then the advantage switches to you. At least I just felt that way. You're right, though. You could play it a bunch of different ways.
There was 1 out.
Yeah.
Or no outs.
1 out.
So then you go in 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, and hoping for a base hit. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just talking. I love to talk the game strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I just felt like I was shooting the plate because I felt like there was going to be a bunt and that there was going to be action.
You don't give yourself enough credit. All week in and week out on this show, you hear, you say, and we hear, I don't know the game like you guys know the game. I don't think the game. I don't watch the game. I watch the game through a lens. Actually, Cor, you sell yourself short because you brought up a very interesting point, and you were right. And they got the bunt down. Unfortunately, the kid, it must have been a safety squeeze because the kid, or a squeeze because the kid broke for home.
Yep.
Correct.
Yes.
So that must have been an exciting play. And I know we kind of got off a little bit, but what a day for that kid from Kreskill. And
yes.
And I didn't even have the breakdown. And when you go up there against Ramsey, a perennial, strong team, always in the county tournament, they're always a tough out.
Well coached.
Well coached. They go out, they play the games. They play the games on their schedule, and Ches does a good job up there. And Donnie has really, breathed some life into that Kreskill program over the last 4 years. So good for them.
Yes, absolutely true. You love to see it. It doesn't. For a small school, it takes 2 or 3 guys to come together, and you can have some success at that level, and it was good for Kreskill. Of course, they got their comeuppance a little bit in the next round as they moved on to the round of 16. We talked about it last week. It was a big, the main topic of discussion on last week's show. Do you throw your ace in that, and hope, obviously,
right.
Donnie did that. He went with his ace, and, they went into Bosco the next time, and Bosco wins 12-2. And that's the benefit of being the number 1 seed, having the first round bye, where you get to use your ace in game 1, or your first game, which is game 2 for Kreskill. So
yeah, but Donnie went for it. He got the county win and moved on, and you got to win today. So
yep.
There were a couple other games though.
Go ahead.
If you think about take Glenrock for example, there was a lot of discussion after the seeds were out. Why did you let them in? Why did you let them in? They're 6-6. They're how come they got in? Well, I said all the variables that we use. They went out and challenged themselves in their out of conference games, their independent games, and they pushed Ridgewood to the brink, 3-2 game. Same thing with Dumont Tenafly. Tenafly gets in, they take Dumont to extras, they lose 2-1. We said it at the beginning, and the parity, diversity. I thought the preliminary games really offered a lot of that. And then getting into the round of 16, the matchups were pretty good, and there were all the games. I thought all but I think 2 of the games in the preliminary round and the round of 16 were competitive. And if you look at the results, so I think it's what we thought it was going to be. I think you definitely have some very intriguing matchups in the quarterfinals. Bosco's got a big test as the 1 seed coming up against Ridgewood. Hills and Joe's rematch. Bergen Catholic Rutherford and St. Mary's Demarest. Demarest has a 20 seed getting in there. So, I mean, you have the 1-9, 2-10, 3-6, 5-20.
Yep.
So, good matchups coming down the road.
Yeah, it is. And we said it last week, too, that the tournament is as wide open as I've ever seen it. And even though you have a lot of chalk in the quarterfinals, it's not all chalk. You have a 20 seed, you have a 10 seed, you have even Ridgewood as the 9. Ridgewood, like you said, pushed by Glenrock in the play-in round, then was trailing. I was up in Portland, Maine, and I'm getting a text. I had a correspondent on location at Pascack Valley sending me updates, and I was tweeting, and Ridgewood was behind most of the game until they came back and win 5-4. Even St. Mary, again, first of all, Lyndhurst, how about Lyndhurst going on the road and beating Indian Hills at Indian Hills in the opening round, and then coming back in round 2 and having a 2-0 lead late on St. Mary. St. Mary needed a 6-run, I think 6th or 7th inning, I'm not sure, but they were down 2-0, win 6-2. So, St. Mary chalk in the quarterfinal, but that not the way you would have expected it, with Lyndhurst having pushed them all the way. A great showing for Lyndhurst, one of the all-time NJIC baseball programs, too, and good to see that good things still happening down there for the Golden Bears, although they probably would have liked to see themselves finish it off, but certainly a good accounting for Lyndhurst in this year's Bergen County Baseball Tournament.
It's great. It's great. It really is. Pat does a good job with Lyndhurst, and Dennis Hulse does a good job with St. Mary's as well. They're 2 well-coached teams. I've had the opportunity to see both of those teams this year, and it's no surprise, that it was a close battle with those 2 teams. So good for them.
Yep. And how about
huge win? That's a huge win for Lyndhurst, though, man. Going to Indian Hills and knocking them off.
Yeah.
What a win! What a win that was. I think it kind of, again, you try to get all the games, Corey. You try to kind of comment on. You can't obviously comment on every game,
right.
But when you talk about eye-opening games, and it's like a surprise, but it's not, because you know that Lyndhurst plays well year in and year out, and you know how strong Indian Hills is, and so you're looking at the bigger schools, the Group 3s and the Group 1, to go up there on the road and win like that's a tremendous win for Lyndhurst.
Yeah. I mean, in years past, I could have talked about most of the games because they were held at relatively. You know what? You got to remember now. I will ixnay. I will axe any sort of communication with the committee and NorthJerseySports.com if you continue to complain. Are you pulling my credentials?
I might pull your press pass. I'm going to pull your press pass.
What are you, Nick Brown? That jerk, Nick Brown? All right, so let's do comment. Listen, Bergen Catholic. Here's the other thing. The final scores of the round of 16 games. Now, obviously, Bosco 12-2 over Cresskill, and defending champion Pascack Hills behind Ryan Ramsey with an 8-0 win over Emerson.
Yeah. Right.
Take those 2 out. As I mentioned, St. Mary's down 2-0, wins 6-2. Ridgewood trailing most of the way, comes back to win 5-4. Demarest, a 20 seed.
No, Ridgewood. I think Ridgewood was down 5-2, and they won 6-5. I think they scored 4 late, and it was 6-5, Corey.
Okay, my bad. I had
Ridgewood,
5-4, but I know it was 3-2 late, and then so Ridgewood comes back to win 6-5.
Joe's beats Ramapo.
Joe's beats Ramapo, and we talked about that one last week too. Everybody said. St. Joe's, they're underseeded because they're the 10. But no, they were a legitimate 10 seed because of the games that they had lost. And now, so I said last week, hey, you're getting I think my exact wording was, yeah, people are saying, oh, it's round post St. Joe's, but you're getting this year's St. Joe's. Well, let me eat some crow and take my words back. It's a tough team, that St. Joe's this year, and it's time to give them some credit for when things did not go right and when St. Joseph Regional High School is playing a play-in game. That is shocking on its face, but instead of going in the tank, they beat Lodi in the first round. Then they go on the road. Yeah, right. Beat them by 10. Then they go on the road, take care of Roundpo. Roundpo was my, sleeper in this year's event because of, the pitching that they could put out there on 3 successive Saturdays. But they, the road stops here for the Green Raiders because the Green Knights, St. Joe's, with a 5-2 victory in Franklin Lakes. Impressive.
It was, Core. It definitely was. I mean, again, you there's so much put on the seed. If you take the numbers, your seed away, and just have the two teams play the game, I mean, I don't think there's as much talk behind it. Right. I think it's just because it's the county tournament, and yeah, they were seeded 10, and they haven't been that low in God knows how long. But that doesn't take away from the fact that how talented they are. I mean, I'm sure Ramapo wasn't thinking, we're getting this year's St. Joe's. So,
right.
Again, good game, two good teams, and they battled it out.
Yeah, and then Rutherford also impressive too with a 3-0 win over your beloved Dumont Huskies, Joe.
Yeah, go Huskies.
But I do want to say that Jay Canisi is another one of those guys that we were talking about. Lyndhurst. Jay Canisi runs a great program at Dumont, and every year they're competitive, regardless of what they lose to. That Dumont program puts a lot of players in college across the board. At all levels. You see Division III guys, Division II guys. You
right.
See them on Twitter. They stay close to the program. And every year, they seem to be overlooked. They were an 11 seed this year. They won a game in the Bergen County tournament this year, which against another Big North program, which, is a good year for Dumont. Not that they, in years past, haven't been primed to make deeper runs. But still, Rutherford, a 6 seed, then takes care of business at home, a 3-0 win, and Jacob Gomez, 10 strikeouts, 0 walks. That's going to win you some ball games.
Absolutely. I mean, Rutherford's I don't think there's anybody that's looking forward to playing any of these teams going against these starters that you're going to see now in the quarters and the moving forward.
Yes.
But Rutherford's got that three-headed monster they have down there with the kid Kelly, Jones, and Gomez. So they have quite an arsenal to throw at you on any given day. So they're looking pretty good. They're sitting in a good spot right now.
They are sitting in a good spot, and that's going to be fun. I mean, that's Emerson. That's 1:30 p.m. That's a game that I will be at because I am curious to see if Rutherford, against Bergen Catholic. Bergen Catholic 13-3, won it 2 years ago, made the semifinals last year. This year, a good 4-0 win over Paramus. Paramus was playing well. Yep. Paramus had beaten your beloved Woodridge Fighting Blue Devils in the opening round. Paramus goes through, and BC blanks them 4-0. On the road at Paramus because Bergen Catholic is a team without a home field. So, they're the 3 seed. They go to Paramus and win. So, even,
right.
Take that. Yeah,
no, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to go on the road and win in big games and pressure situations. And I think, I think we talked a lot about stuff that's not related directly to baseball, but helps in terms of, we talked about it with Frank Clark. We talked about it with Mark Hausner about preparing and how competitive kids are when they're playing other sports and how much it helps when it comes springtime. So there's something that's played into that. Like your team has to have a certain edge. You have to have a certain arrogance about you. Inside of you, and when you step on a field, no matter what that field is, you have to feel as though you're going to win because, to go to somebody else's field as a higher seed, it's, there's a lot of pressure. I would think. I think they have everything. Everything is got them backed into a corner because they're expected to win regardless of where they play. But high school sports, anything can happen, and they were able to. What was the final there? 3-0, 4-0. They beat Paramus.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, kudos to them. Going out, no home field and having to go on the road. It's good job by them.
Rough job, and, that bracket was not very kind to you, Joe. I mean, you are the principal of the bastion of higher education that is Woodridge High School. Lost to Paramus in the opening round. You are
alma mater,
your alma mater too. Then goes out and takes one on the chin against Bergen Catholic. I mean, just stay away. I hope you're not humping in that bracket in the next round.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
And the other one, St. Joe's Pascack Hills, is you got Bosco. All right, just to sum up, you got Bosco Ridgewood, which is going to be a barn burner. You got St. Mary Demarest. Demarest playing as well as anybody. Hauser, when we had him on, and in the couple times that I've seen him since, and also when I shot the Demarest Athletic Hall of Fame and sat with him there for a while, I'm quietly confident in his team. He knew that they could pitch. Derek Talty doing a great job with the pitching staff. He knew he could pitch all along. So if he could just get some offense, and he has in the county tournament, just enough, then he knew he was going to be dangerous. So he's got another shot this week against St. Mary. Rutherford, Bergen Catholic we just talked about. And then the rematch of last year's semifinal, the game that really put Pascack Hills on the map, on the way to winning the Bergen County tournament, on the way to winning the section tournament, on the way to winning the Group 2 state title, and on the way to being named the overall #1 team in the state of New Jersey. It was Pascack Hills' win over St. Joe's in the semifinals of the Bergen County tournament, where everybody said, wow, they really are good.
That was a statement game, a staple game, but I think going into the tournament, leading up to it, everybody knew what they were capable of given the four arms that they had.
But on the statewide level. I mean, everybody around here knew. I knew because I saw the play.
Everybody around here, yes, I knew it, but you're right. Across the state, definitely an eye-opener. But, it's, again, until somebody knocks them off, they're still front runner to repeat. They're doing a great job. They got the two arms, but there's a lot of people chasing them with the target on their back. So, and I don't think they have an easy week coming up.
Right.
They're still in contention for their league. They have a lot of big league games coming up, sandwiched. That county game sandwiched in between. So, it's going to be interesting.
Yes. All right, Joe. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Well,
now, if you could only pick one game to cover, now that's not going to be the case for NorthJerseySports.com this weekend. A, my daughter does not have a presentation concerning an internship this week, so I will not be in New England. And B, the games are on neutral fields within relative short driving distance of each other with staggered start times. So it's going to allow me to hit multiple athletic contests in a compressed and small amount of time, so I'm looking forward to that. But let's just say this was like last week, where games willy-nilly all over the place, different start times in Bergen County.
Stop or
separated,
damn show.
Separated by Route 17 on a Saturday in the middle. If you could pick just one of these quarterfinal games, which one would you go to?
Bergen Catholic Rutherford.
Yeah, interesting. Would you like to elaborate on that, or just leave it?
No, you asked me, and that's the one I want to go to.
Okay. All right, so that will be at 1:30 at Emerson. And you know what?
Yeah. What?
2 for the price of 1. Pay your 1 admission if you're listening to this. Pay your admission. Go watch the 11 o'clock game. Pascack Hills is defending champ against 10th-seeded St. Joe's. And then for your nightcap, you get Bergen Catholic Rutherford. That is what is it? How much does it cost to get into the Bergen County tournament? I don't know, Joe. I have a press pass.
Well, for you now it's going to be, you're going to have to pay for every bit of equipment that you bring in. Right. We're going to charge you for parking.
Oh, my God.
You sound like such a whiner this week. You're such a whiner.
All right. Well, I am covering the doubleheader in Emerson, and I'm going to get over to Demarest as much as possible. I will have reports from everywhere.
Well, what I can't I'll tell you what, Gord. I'll tell you what. I will tell you what.
Tell me.
Even though I do this because I love it on a voluntary basis.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoy talking baseball and watching high school baseball and all baseball for that matter. Let me see how the Cetera Boys schedule pans out, and maybe I will go over to Demarest and be your correspondent.
Oh, well, listen.
And let you know what's going on, what the situation. I'm sure you'll have many people that would be willing to do that for you anyway. But seeing as though we're supposed to be a team,
yes,
I would be willing to do that.
All right.
Pending my boys' schedule.
Bring the Cetera boys, and I will bring T-shirts for the Cetera boys, and we will catch up for at least the last few innings of the second game. It will be great. It will be a baseball smorgasbord brought to you by the Complete Performance Baseball Academy with their brand new website.
That's great. Oh man! Hey, before we head out, I have some interesting stats. When did it become cool? Like, think about this. If you hit the ball on the ground, right? Hit the baseball hard on the ground. How much more does a defender have to do? Does a defensive player have to do to get you out?
It's a lot of things.
Rather than hit the ball in the air, Corey. So if I hit you a fly ball or I hit you a ground ball, what do you have to do more with? The ground ball. You have to get there, you have to field it cleanly, you have to make an accurate throw, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fly ball, you got to get to the spot and catch it, right?
Yeah, and plus, with the ground ball, too, you have to know what base to throw to, too, in certain situations. With a fly ball, if you catch it, it's always an out.
It's an out, regardless. But then, you do in the outfield. I mean, if you catch it, there's a guy on second, he might be tagging. You know, there's stuff.
But it's still an out.
I can't believe the emphasis put on launch angles and balls going up into the air, and try to get some lift. When did that become the thing to do?
I mean, if you're asking me, the answer is it's so suck. It takes away from my enjoyment of baseball. Even when I hear somebody say, like, I'm a big Mets fan, and I do a lot of work in my office with Mets games on. I mean, I always have the radio running in the background. I'm more of a radio guy than a TV guy. Howie Rose is like my...
he puts me to sleep. He's awful. He puts me to sleep.
All right, Joe. I'm a Mets fan. All right, I've grown up with the guy. I love him.
He's better. But he's definitely better than Michael Kay. I'll give you that much.
Or John Sterling.
That's it. That's the one. John Sterling. Sorry.
I mean, there is. Howie Rose has been to every Mets game since like 1969, or 68, something like that. So I mean, he really is a savant when it comes to New York Met baseball.
Hard to listen to them.
But he is an old school guy. He hates the things that you're talking about, launch angle, all these things. And he only reluctantly, because they've become such buzzwords, like what was the exit velocity. But even when I hear Howie Rose mention the words in succession, exit velocity, and then when they shorten it to velo, I want to stick my hands through. You know what? He hit it hard. You know what? He hit it over the wall.
Whatever happened? Whatever happened to it? Just he turned on it.
Yeah.
He squared the ball. Who cares if you hit it 113 miles an hour? Listen to me. If you hit a ball 113 miles an hour, or you hit a ball 97 miles an hour, and it goes over a fence, who cares? Right. If you hit a ball 97 miles an hour in a gap, and you hit it 105 miles an hour in a gap, who cares about exit velocity and launch angles? The ball went high enough in the air to get over the fence. I can't stand it. And you know what, Court? That prompted me to do something.
Okay.
This week I looked up stats because I do like baseball. Love baseball.
What do you have?
Numbers, right?
What do you have? Ohiro Matoki's exit velocity for the last 3 years?
No.
Okay.
I have in Major League Baseball. There have been 33,238 at bats.
33,238. 238 ABs.
Okay, ABs. Yep. How many strikeouts across Major League Baseball to date would you say?
I like you. I love the game of baseball. I love to watch it. I love to talk about it. And I have, yesterday on my way home from my excursion to New England, I was fortunate enough to run into an 18-inning Mets game, and I got to listen to most of it in the car.
There you go.
So it was great. And just listening to that game, it seemed like there were 33,238 at-bats and 32,238 strikeouts because everybody strikes out all the time.
Core 8,702 strikeouts.
It's like 25%.
You know what the batting average is across Major League Baseball? Average 245.
245.
How about this? How many walks you think? I'll save you the agony. 3,394 versus 8,702. Walks 3,394. Ks 8,702.
Oh my God.
Hits 8,142.
I hate the shift. And you're right. You're right. How about when we talk about launch angle? How about the one that makes the ball go down into the ground?
Down. What's the angle of the ball going down off my bat? In the ground.
Yes.
And here's another one, real quick. 7 complete games by pitchers. 982 games started. You know what the overall record of pitchers across starters, relievers? They're 491 and 491. They're 500. Their earned run average is 433. So I'm looking at these stats and I'm going, well, that stat sucks.
Yeah.
And so does the offensive stats. So where are we here? The pitching's not good and the hitting's not good. So where are we going?
And here's the other thing too. You're right. It is like Bizarro world because pitchers aren't allowed to throw a lot of innings because then they might get hurt, and they're all hurt.
Right, everybody's hurt.
Everybody's hurt.
Everybody's knee inflammation. Everybody's on the IL.
Right, the Yankees have 73 guys on the injured list,
yeah.
And nobody's allowed to play because they might get hurt. It's like you got to wrap them in bubble wrap.
Bubble wrapping. All right, last question, and then I'm going.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Yes.
If you can answer it, I'll take you out on me wherever you want to go for dinner. Ready?
On. Wait, my wife just walked by. Stace, did you hear that? Joe is going to take, if I can answer this trivia question correctly, Joe Cetera is going to take me and my wife, right?
Yeah, she can come too, sure.
And my wife. All right. Anywhere we want to go, dear. Here we go.
How many stitches are in a baseball?
How many stitches are in a baseball?
Don't Google it. You got to answer now.
I will say, I really don't know. I will say.
Oh, come on.
144 stitches.
Oh, not too far off. 108.
Oh,
double stitches. 216 single stitches.
All right, Stace, I'm going to have
trivia question. My phone's dying, by the way. You hear it beep? Do you hear my phone beeping?
We will see you next week on Talkin' Baseball.
Follow the leader.